In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Galactic Council reigned supreme. Composed of the most advanced civilizations, they prided themselves on their technological prowess and diplomatic finesse. At the heart of their operations sat the magnificent space station Celestia, a marvel of engineering that housed representatives from 1,000 worlds. On this particular cycle, the council chambers buzzed with excitement. An exploration team had stumbled upon an anomaly in a remote sector of space, an ancient warship of mysterious origin. Holograms flickered to life, projecting detailed scans of the vessel for all to see. High Counselor Zara, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, leaned forward in her seat. Her multifaceted eyes scanned the projected images with intense curiosity. Fascinating, she mused, her melodic voice carrying across the chamber. This design, it's unlike anything in our archives. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The ship was indeed a curiosity. Its hull pockmarked with scars from ancient battles, its form an odd mix of crude engineering and surprisingly advanced technology. It hung silently in the void, a ghost from an era long past. General Crix, a battle-hardened veteran from the militant Vargan Empire, scoffed audibly. His scaled skin rippled with disdain as he spoke. This relic, it's hardly worth our time. Our smallest scout ships could outgun this. Antique. Laughter echoed through the chamber, a chorus of agreement from the gathered representatives. The ancient warship did seem comically outmatched by the sleek, energy-shielded vessels of the council races, but not everyone was so quick to dismiss the discovery. Dr. Lani, a respected xenorchaeologist, cleared her throat. The small, furry scientist's whiskers twitched nervously as she addressed the council. With all due respect, there's more here than meets the eye. Our initial scans detected energy readings that don't match any known technology. This ship may be old, but it's far from primitive. High Counselor Zara nodded thoughtfully. A fair point, Doctor. What do you propose? I recommend we send a research team to study the vessel up close, Dr. Lenny replied, her eyes shining with excitement. There could be invaluable knowledge to be gained. General Crix snorted derisively. A waste of resources. I say we use it for target practice. Give our gunners some real-world experience. The chamber erupted in debate, arguments flying back and forth. But before a consensus could be reached, alarms blared throughout Celestia. The massive view screen at the front of the chamber flickered to life, showing a real-time feed from the sector where the ancient warship had been discovered. The council members watched in stunned silence as the seemingly derelict vessel hummed to life. Its scared hull began to glow with an otherworldly energy, and long-dormant weapon systems powered up. Impossible, General Crix bellowed, rising from his seat. That ship couldn't possibly. His words were cut short as a blinding beam of energy lanced out from the ancient warship, slicing through a nearby council patrol vessel like it was made of paper. The patrol ship exploded in a spectacular fireball, leaving nothing but debris in its wake. Panic gripped the council chamber. High Counselor Zara's voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. Alert all nearby fleets. We need to contain this threat immediately. As the council scrambled to respond, Dr. Lani stared at the view screen, her scientific mind racing. Wait, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. That energy signature, it can't be. The ancient warship moved with surprising agility, effortlessly evading the first wave of council ships that arrived to intercept it. Its weapons blazed, each shot finding its mark with terrifying accuracy. As the one-sided battle unfolded, Dr. Lani's eyes widened in realization. She turned to High Counselor Zara, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and awe. Counselor, I know where that ship came from. It's human. The word hung in the air, heavy with implication. Humans, a species thought to be nothing more than a myth, a boogeyman story told to scare young ones. But as the ancient warship continued its devastating assault, the truth became undeniable. The Galactic Council had awakened something ancient and powerful. and now they would face the consequences of their arrogance. The awakening. The Galactic Council chamber descended into chaos as the implications of Dr. Lenny's words sank in. Humans, a species of myth and legend, known only through fragmented tales of an ancient and terrifying war that had reshaped the galaxy eons ago. High Counselor Zara's voice cut through the pandemonium. "Dr. Lenny, explain." Now, the xenorchaeologist took a deep breath, her small form trembling slightly under the weight of countless eyes. "The energy signature, the weapon systems, they match ancient records I've been studying. Records that speak of a war so devastating it nearly destroyed the galaxy. A war against humans." On the view screen, the battle raged on. The ancient warship danced through space, its movements graceful yet lethal. Council ships, despite their advanced technology, fell one by one to its relentless assault. General Crix slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible. These humans are nothing but stories to frighten children. Even if they existed once, they've been gone for millennia." Dr. Lenny shook her head. "That's what we thought. But what if? What if they didn't die out? What if they simply went dormant, waiting?" A hush fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. High Counselor Zara's multifaceted eyes narrowed. Waiting for what? Before Dr. Lenny could respond, the view screen flickered. The image of the battle was replaced by a face, a human face. Sharp eyes set in a weathered countenance gazed out at the stunned council members. When the figure spoke, its voice was deep and resonant, filled with an authority that seemed to transcend time itself. "I am Captain Eli Stone of the Earth Defense Force. You have awakened us from our long slumber. We gave you a chance for peace, but you chose war. So be it." The transmission cut off, leaving the council in shocked silence. General Crix was the first to recover, his scales flushing with rage. "This is an outrage. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot hope to stand against the might of the Galactic Council." High Counselor Zara held up a hand for silence. "We must not underestimate this threat. Dr. Lenny, what else can you tell us about these humans?" Dr. Lenny's whiskers twitched nervously. "The records are fragmented, but they speak of a species with incredible adaptability and ingenuity. They were outnumbered and outgunned, yet they fought with a ferocity that terrified even the most battle-hardened warriors." On the view screen, the human warship continued its deadly dance. But now, something new was happening. The debris from destroyed council ships began to move, drawn towards the human vessel. Before the astonished eyes of the council, the debris was absorbed into the ship's hull, repairing damage and even expanding its structure. "By the stars," Dr. Lenny whispered, "it's evolving, adapting in real time to the weapons being used against it." General Crix's face contorted with a mix of rage and fear. "Then we hit it with everything we have. Now, before it grows too powerful." High Counselor Zara nodded grimly. "Agreed. All available fleets are to converge on the human ship. We must contain this threat before it spreads." As the orders were relayed, Dr. Lenny's eyes remained fixed on the view screen. She watched as the human ship, now larger and even more formidable, effortlessly evaded the incoming council armada. Its weapons fired in precise bursts, each shot finding its mark with uncanny accuracy. "It's not just the ship," she murmured. "The human inside. Captain Stone. He's interfacing with the ship somehow. They're moving as one." The battle unfolded with a terrible beauty. Council ships, representing the pinnacle of 1,000 worlds' technology, fell before the onslaught of this single human vessel. It was David versus an army of Goliaths, and David was winning. As the council watched in horror, the human ship suddenly accelerated, punching through the council's lines and disappearing into the depths of space in a flash of light that defied known physics. Alarms blared throughout Celestia. "High Counselor," a panicked aide shouted, "we're detecting similar energy signatures activating throughout the galaxy. Hundreds, thousands of them." The implications were clear. This wasn't just one ship, one human. This was an awakening. High Counselor Zora's voice was solemn as she addressed the stunned council. It seems, my friends, that we face a war unlike any we have known. The humans have returned, and we are not ready. As if in response to her words, the lights in the council chamber flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. In that moment of blind panic, one thought echoed through the minds of all present. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of humanity had begun. The resistance. As darkness enveloped the Celestia space station, panic gripped the hearts of the Galactic Council members. Emergency lights flickered to life, casting an eerie red glow across the chamber. High Counselor Zora's voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. Everyone, remain calm. We must assess the situation and formulate a response. General Crix snarled, his scaled skin rippling with anger. A response. We should be obliterating these humans. They dare to attack the seat of galactic power. Dr. Lani, the xenorchaeologist, spoke up, her voice trembling but determined. We can't just annihilate them, General. We need to understand them. This technology, this power, it could revolutionize everything we know. As the council argued, the emergency lights suddenly intensified. A holographic projection materialized in the center of the chamber, showing real-time feeds from across the galaxy. The council members watched in stunned silence as human warships emerged from hidden bases, ancient space stations reactivated, and long-dormant defense systems came online. High Counselor Zora's multifaceted eyes widened. They were everywhere. All this time, hiding in plain sight. The feeds showed scenes of chaos and confusion. On some worlds, the local populations panicked at the sight of the legendary human ships. On others, underground resistance movements revealed themselves, welcoming the humans as liberators from council rule. Dr. Lenny gasped, pointing at one particular feed. Look, that's the Zenth system. The humans, they're not attacking. They're defending it against the Vargan invasion fleet. Indeed, the feed showed human ships engaging in a fierce battle with General Crix's own Vargan forces, which had been attempting to subjugate the peaceful Zenth for their resources. The human vessels moved with incredible precision, their advanced weaponry making short work of the Vargan warships. General Crix's face contorted with rage. This is an outrage. Those primitive Zenth are under our protection. Your oppression, you mean? A new voice rang out. The council members turned to see a shimmer in the air as a holographic figure materialized. Captain Eli Stone, his weathered face set in grim determination. We've watched long enough. Stone continued. The Galactic Council claims to be a force for peace and progress, but we've seen the truth. Corruption, oppression, genocide. It ends now. High Counselor Zara stepped forward, her voice diplomatic but firm. Captain Stone, surely we can discuss this. There's no need for war. We can. We tried discussion. Stone interrupted. We sent envoys years ago. They were ignored, imprisoned, or worse. You left us no choice but to wait, to prepare. And now we're ready to set things right. As Stone spoke, more feeds appeared, showing human ships and their allies engaging council forces across the galaxy. It wasn't a war of conquest. The humans were targeting military installations, freeing enslaved populations, and dismantling oppressive regimes. Dr. Lenny watched the feeds with a mix of awe and scientific curiosity. Their strategy, it's brilliant. They're not trying to destroy the council. They're systematically undermining its power structure. General Crix growled. Enough of this. We must launch a full-scale counterattack. Annihilate these humans, and any who stand with them. But as he reached for the command console, it sparked and went dark. Throughout the chamber, systems shut down one by one. Captain Stone's hologram smiled grimly. Your weapons are useless. Your fleets disabled. We've had millennia to study your technology, to find its weaknesses. This is the end of the Galactic Council's tyranny. High Counselor Zara, realizing the gravity of the situation, made one last appeal. Captain Stone, please. Not all of us are corrupt. Many of us genuinely want to make the galaxy a better place. Give us a chance to reform, to work together. Stone's expression softened slightly. We're not here for vengeance, Counselor. We're here for justice. Those who are willing to embrace true equality, to work for the betterment of all species, will have a place in the new galactic order. The rest will face the consequences of their actions. As if to emphasize his point, feeds showed council strongholds surrendering, corrupt officials being arrested by their own people, and former victims of the council's oppression rising up in revolution. Dr. Lunny, her scientific mind racing, addressed Stone. Captain, your technology, it's incredible. The way your ships adapt, the way you interface with them. We could learn so much from each other. Stone nodded. That's the spirit we're looking for, Doctor. Curiosity, collaboration, the desire to grow and improve. It's what humanity has always strived for, even in our darkest hours. As the council members watched their power crumble in real time, a new reality began to dawn. The age of human dormancy was over. A new era was beginning, one of cooperation, innovation, and true galactic democracy. High Counselor Zara, seeing the writing on the wall, made a decision. She stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and strong. Captain Stone, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I propose an immediate ceasefire. Let us come to the table and discuss the future, not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. Stone's hologram smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. That, Counselor, is a good place to start. As negotiations began, the galaxy held its breath. The humans had returned, not as conquerors, but as catalysts for change. The true test now lay ahead. Could these long-hidden guardians of justice help forge a better future for all? The revelation. The grand negotiation chamber aboard the neutral space station, Harmony buzzed with tension. Representatives from the Galactic Council sat on one side, led by High Counselor Zara. Across from them, the human delegation, headed by Captain Eli Stone, maintained a stoic presence. Between them, holographic displays flickered with data streams and real-time galactic updates. Dr. Lani, now acting as a scientific advisor to the Council, couldn't contain her excitement. Before we begin, Captain Stone, I must ask, how did humanity manage to hide for so long? Our surveys never detected any sign of your presence. Stone's weathered face cracked into a slight smile. Necessity breeds innovation, Doctor. We developed technology that allowed us to phase slightly out of sync with normal spacetime. Invisible, intangible, but ever-present. General Crix, still bristling with barely contained anger, interjected. Convenient, and we're supposed to believe you spent millennia just watching, not interfering. Oh, we interfered, Stone replied, his tone hardening. Every time a species on the brink of extinction suddenly discovered a miracle cure. Every time a planet doomed by a dying sun found a way to relocate its entire population. Every time a war was averted at the last second by an unexpected diplomatic breakthrough. That was us. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just been hiding. They had been guiding, protecting, shaping the galaxy from the shadows. High Counselor Zara leaned forward, her iridescent skin shimmering with barely contained emotion. But why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue as you were? Captain Stone's holographic display expanded, showing scenes of suffering across the galaxy. Worlds strip-mined to desolation, species enslaved for labor, corrupt council officials living in luxury while their people starved. Because it wasn't enough, Stone said, his voice heavy with resolve. We could save individuals, even planets, but the rot at the core of the Galactic Council was spreading too far, too fast. We had to act directly. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the station. A junior officer rushed in, his face pale with shock. High Counselor, We're detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the galactic core. All eyes turn to the central holographic display. A swarm of objects, each larger than a small moon, was emerging from the depths of the galaxy. Their designs were clearly human in origin, but on a scale that defied comprehension. Dr. Lanny's whiskers twitched with a mix of fear and awe. What are they? Captain Stone stood, his holographic form seeming to grow more substantial. Insurance, in case these negotiations fail. Orcs, carrying billions of humans in stasis. World ships, capable of terraforming planets in days. And if necessary, weapons that can unmake solar systems. The council representatives recoiled in horror, but Stone held up a hand. We don't want to use them. We've seen enough destruction to last 1,000 lifetimes. What we want is a genuine partnership, a new galactic order based on mutual respect, scientific advancement, and true justice. High Counselor Zara, her voice trembling slightly, asked, "And if we refuse?" Stone's expression softened. "Then we'll have no choice but to dismantle the council entirely. We'll protect the innocent, rehabilitate those we can, and ensure that no single power can ever dominate the galaxy again. But the cost in lives and progress, it would be astronomical." General Crix, his earlier bravado evaporating, spoke up. You could have conquered us at any time. Why offer us a choice now?" "Because that's not who we are," Stone replied. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's our capacity for compassion, for seeing the best in others even when they can't see it themselves." As if to emphasize his point, new holographic displays sprang to life around the chamber. They showed human ships distributing aid to war-torn worlds, human scientists collaborating with alien researchers to cure devastating diseases, human diplomats mediating conflicts between species that had been at war for generations. Dr. Lanny, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear, asked, "But how? How did humanity achieve such advancements?" Captain Stone's hologram walked to the center of the room, and suddenly the chamber seemed to expand infinitely. The negotiators found themselves floating in a virtual representation of the galaxy, stars wheeling around them in breathtaking beauty. "We had time, Doctor. Time to learn, to grow, to understand the fundamental laws of the universe. And more importantly, we had perspective. Watching the rise and fall of civilizations, we learned from their triumphs and their mistakes." As he spoke, the galactic representation zoomed in, showing the intricate dance of quantum particles, the birth of stars, the collision of galaxies. It was a view of reality that transcended normal perception. "We're offering you this knowledge, this perspective," Stone continued, "not as conquerors, but as teachers, as partners. Together, we can usher in an era of exploration and discovery beyond anything you've imagined." High Counselor Zara, moved by the display and Stone's words, stood up. "And what guarantee do we have that humanity won't simply become the new tyrants? Power corrupts, Captain Stone. How can we trust you won't fall into the same traps we did?" Stone nodded, acknowledging the validity of her concern. "A fair question, Counselor. And the answer is simple. You'll be watching us, just as we've watched you. This isn't about replacing one ruling power with another. It's about creating a true galactic community, where every voice is heard, every species has a chance to thrive." As the magnitude of the offer sank in, a palpable shift occurred in the chamber. Fear and suspicion began to give way to cautious hope. Even General Crix, long the voice of aggression, seemed to be reconsidering his stance. Dr. Lanny, her eyes shining with the promise of new discoveries, turned to High Counselor Zara. This could be the dawn of a new age, an age of wonders. Zara nodded slowly, then faced Captain Stone. "We have much to discuss, Captain, and much to atone for. But if you're offering a genuine partnership, I believe we owe it to every sentient being in this galaxy to try." As negotiations began in earnest, the fate of countless worlds hung in the balance. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, offering a hand of friendship and a promise of a brighter future. The question now was, would the galaxy be brave enough to take it? The integration. The negotiations between humanity and the Galactic Council stretched on for days, each hour bringing new revelations and challenges. As the talks progressed, the neutral space station Harmony became a hub of frenetic activity. Scientists, diplomats, and leaders from across the galaxy arrived in droves, eager to witness the dawn of a new era. In a vast chamber converted into a technological showcase, Dr. Lunny stood wide-eyed before a holographic display of mind-bending complexity. Captain Stone's second-in-command, Dr. Aria Chen, was explaining the intricacies of human phase shift technology. "You see, Doctor," Aria said, her hands dancing through the hologram, manipulating quantum strings with casual ease. "By adjusting our quantum resonance, we can slip between the fabric of space-time. It's how we remained hidden for so long." Dr. Laney's whiskers twitched with excitement. "Fascinating. The applications for this technology are endless. Deep space exploration, medical breakthroughs, clean energy." Aria smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Exactly. And we're eager to work with scientists from all species to explore its full potential." Across the station, in a secure meeting room, High Counselor Zara and Captain Stone were engaged in a more somber discussion. Holographic displays showed scenes of worlds that had suffered under corrupt council rule. "We understand the need for justice," Zara said, her voice heavy with regret. "But a galaxy-wide purge of leadership could lead to chaos." Stone nodded, his weathered face etched with compassion. "Agreed. That's why we're proposing a gradual transition, a joint human council tribunal to investigate abuses of power. Those found guilty will face consequences, but our focus will be on rehabilitation and restitution, not punishment." Zara's multifaceted eyes studied Stone carefully. "And for those of us who wish to make amends, to be part of this new galactic order, there's a place for everyone willing to embrace change," Stone replied. "Your experience, your knowledge of galactic politics, it's invaluable. We're not here to erase history, but to learn from it and build a better future." Meanwhile, in the station's vast atrium, a crowd had gathered around General Crix. The once belligerent Vargan was engaged in animated conversation with a human military attaché, Commander Sarah Donovan. "Your battle strategies," Crix was saying, his earlier hostility replaced by grudging admiration. "They're unlike anything I've seen. The way you turned our own momentum against us." Commander Donovan grinned. "Ancient human martial arts, believe it or not, applied on a galactic scale. We found that the principles of balance and redirection work just as well in space combat as they do in hand-to-hand." Crix's scales rippled with interest. "You must teach me these techniques." "Better yet," Donovan replied, "why don't we set up a joint training program? Your species' natural armor and strength, combined with our tactical approaches, we could create the finest peacekeeping force the galaxy has ever seen." As these conversations unfolded, news of the negotiations spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, populations held their breath, watching and waiting. Some reacted with fear, others with hope. But everywhere, change was in the air. On the planet Zenth, whose people had been saved from Vargan invasion by human intervention, massive celebrations erupted. Holographic projections of human ships were met with cheers and tears of joy. In the bustling markets of Trolax Prime, a trade hub world, merchants from 1,000 species debated the economic implications of human technology. Some saw threat, others opportunity, but all recognized that the galactic economy would never be the same. Back on Harmony Station, Captain Stone and High Counselor Zara emerged from their private talks, ready to address the gathered representatives. The chamber fell silent as they took the central podium, two leaders from vastly different backgrounds, united in purpose. "Representatives of the galaxy," Zara began, her voice clear and strong. "We stand at a crossroads. The emergence of humanity offers us not just advanced technology, but a chance to redefine who we are as a galactic community. Stone stepped forward. We've seen the best and worst of what sentient life is capable of. We've watched civilizations rise and fall, and we've learned that the greatest achievements, the most lasting peace, comes not from domination, but cooperation. Holographic displays sprang to life around the chamber, showing visions of the future. Massive space elevators reaching from planet surfaces to orbiting stations. Dyson swarms harnessing the power of suns. Terraforming projects turning barren worlds into garden paradises. This is what we can achieve together, Stone continued. Not as humans, not as council races, but as a united galaxy. The technology, the knowledge we've gained over millennia, it's all yours. But it comes with responsibility. Zara nodded, picking up the thread. A responsibility to use this power wisely, to ensure that no species, no world, is left behind. To explore, to learn, to grow, not just outward into the cosmos, but inward, becoming the best versions of ourselves. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause, excited chatter, and thoughtful murmurs. As the implications of this new alliance sank in, a palpable sense of hope filled the air. Dr. Lani, standing beside Arya Chen, felt tears welling in her eyes. It's really happening, isn't it? A new age. Arya smiled, placing a comforting hand on the Xenorchaeologist's shoulder. It is, but remember, this is just the beginning. The real work starts now. As the formal Declaration of Alliance was signed, ratified by both human and council representatives, a new chapter in galactic history began. Humanity had emerged from the shadows not as conquerors, but as mentors, partners, and friends. The journey ahead would not be easy. Old hatreds die hard, and power is never relinquished without struggle. But for the first time in eons, the galaxy faced the future united, ready to explore the endless frontiers of space and consciousness together. The age of division was over. The age of unity had begun. The Crucible. 5 years had passed since the historic alliance between humanity and the Galactic Council. The initial euphoria had given way to the hard work of rebuilding and redefining an entire galactic civilization. Progress was evident everywhere, but so were the growing pains of such a monumental shift. On the bustling world of Novaterra, a planet at the heart of human-alien cooperation, Dr. Lenny stood before a class of eager students. The lecture hall was a marvel of bioengineering, its walls alive with bioluminescent organisms that responded to the emotional state of the occupants. And so, Dr. Lunny concluded, her whiskers twitching with enthusiasm, the integration of human phase-shift technology with Zenth crystalline computing has opened up entirely new avenues of quantum communication. Questions. A forest of hands, tentacles, and other appendages shot up. The class was a vibrant mix of species from across the galaxy, all united in their thirst for knowledge. Meanwhile, in the orbiting shipyards of Novaterra, General Crix supervised the construction of the first joint human-Vargan peacekeeping vessel. The sleek ship incorporated the best of both species' technologies. Vargan energy shielding meshed seamlessly with human adaptive hull materials. Magnificent, isn't it? Crix rumbled, his scales shimmering with pride as he addressed Commander Sarah Donovan. Donovan nodded, a smile playing on her lips. She's a beauty, all right. What are you calling her? Crix's expression softened, an unusual sight for a Vargan. We've decided on Unity's Forge. A bit on the nose, perhaps, but fitting. As they spoke, an alert chimed on both their communication devices. Their expressions turned grave as they read the message. Across the galaxy, on the former Council capital world of Celestia, High Counselor Zara and Captain Eli Stone were engaged in an emergency meeting. Holographic displays showed scenes of unrest on multiple worlds. The Crimson Dawn movement is gaining traction, Zara reported, her usual composure strained. They're portraying humans as puppet masters, claiming we've all been enslaved by their technology. Stone's weathered face was etched with concern. We knew there would be resistance. Change on this scale was bound to breed fear and resentment. True, Zora agreed, but this is more than just isolated incidents. We're seeing coordinated attacks on joint human-alien facilities. Someone is bankrolling this, Stone. Someone with resources. As if to underscore her point, a new alert flashed across the holographic displays. On the frontier world of Terminus, a human research outpost had just been bombed. Casualties were reported. Stone's expression hardened. Enough is enough. We've tried to be patient, to let people adjust at their own pace, but we can't stand by while innocents are killed. Zara nodded grimly. Agreed. But we must be careful. A heavy-handed response will only fuel their propaganda. Then we fight smart, Stone replied. It's time to unveil Project Lighthouse. Zara's multifaceted eyes widened. Are you sure? The ethical implications alone. We're out of options, Stone said firmly. Lighthouse isn't just about protecting our people. It's about showing the galaxy the truth. As preparations for Project Lighthouse began, the Crimson Dawn movement escalated its attacks. On world after world, anti-human sentiment boiled over into violence. Joint facilities were targeted, alien supporters of the New Order were branded traitors, and misinformation spread like wildfire through the galactic networks. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Aria Chen found herself racing against time. In a secret laboratory deep beneath Nova Terra's surface, she and a team of the galaxy's brightest minds worked feverishly to bring Project Lighthouse online. We're pushing the phase shift generators to their limits, Aria muttered, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. If this works, it'll change everything. If it doesn't, she left the thought unfinished. The stakes were too high to contemplate failure. As the galaxy teetered on the brink of chaos, all eyes turned to Terminus. The frontier world had become a flashpoint, with Crimson Dawn followers seizing control of major cities. They demanded an end to human influence and a return to the old order. In orbit above Terminus, Unity's Forge took up position. General Crix and Commander Donovan stood on the bridge, watching the planet's surface roil with conflict. We could end this in minutes, Crix growled, his old warrior instincts rising to the surface. Donovan shook her head. That's not why we're here, old friend. We're the distraction. The real show's about to begin. On the planet's surface, in the heart of the Crimson Dawn stronghold, a small team of human and alien operatives moved silently through the shadows. Led by a grizzled human veteran, they carried with them the fruits of Project Lighthouse, a device that looked deceptively simple. As they reached their target, a massive communication array, the team's leader activated his comm. This is Spectre. We're in position. Lighthouse is ready. Back on Celestia, Captain Stone and High Counselor Zora exchanged a look. This was the moment of truth. Everything they had worked for hung in the balance. Stone took a deep breath and gave the order. Light it up. On Terminus, the lighthouse device hummed to life. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a wave of crystal clarity washing across the planet, the truth was revealed. Every sentient being on Terminus suddenly found themselves experiencing the memories, the emotions, the very essence of those around them. Human, alien, supporter, dissenter, all were laid bare, their hopes, fears, and innermost thoughts shared in a moment of profound connection. The effect rippled outward, carried by the vast network of phase-shift relays that humans had quietly seeded throughout the galaxy. World after world experienced the same revelation. In that moment, the lies of the Crimson Dawn were exposed. The fears they had played upon were soothed by understanding. The artificial divisions they had created crumbled in the face of shared experience. As the galaxy reeled from this unprecedented moment of unity, Captain Stone addressed all sentient beings, his words carried on a stream of pure thought. We are not your conquerors. We are not your saviors. We are you, all of you. Your triumphs, your struggles, your dreams. They are ours too. We hid ourselves away because we feared the responsibility of our power. But in doing so, we denied you the choice to grow alongside us. That ends today. This gift, this moment of absolute truth, is not a weapon. It's an opportunity to see each other as we truly are, to understand that our differences are our greatest strength. The choice of what to do with this understanding that belongs to all of us together. As Stone's words faded, the galaxy held its breath. The age of secrets was over. The real work of building a united future was about to begin. The rebirth. In the wake of Project Lighthouse's activation, the galaxy stood at a crossroads. The unprecedented sharing of experiences and emotions had shattered barriers and exposed truths in ways no one had anticipated. As the initial shock subsided, the real work began. On Terminus, the epicenter of the revelation, former Crimson Dawn strongholds transformed overnight into centers of reconciliation. Humans and aliens who had been bitter enemies just days before now worked side by side, rebuilding what had been destroyed, not just physically, but emotionally and culturally as well. Dr. Lenny found herself at the heart of this transformation. Her expertise in xenorchaeology had unexpectedly become crucial in helping species rediscover their shared histories. In a makeshift classroom set up in the ruins of a bombed-out building, she addressed a diverse group of humans and aliens. What we've experienced isn't just about our present or our future, she explained, her whiskers quivering with excitement. It's about our past too. The memories we've shared have unveiled ancient connections between our species that we never knew existed. A young Vargan, his scales still showing signs of recent battle, raised a clawed hand. But how do we move forward from here? How do we build trust after everything that's happened? Dr. Lenny smiled gently. One step at a time. By acknowledging our mistakes, by learning from each other, and by remembering the truth we've all experienced, that deep down, we're not so different after all. Meanwhile, aboard Unity's Forge, General Crix and Commander Donovan were coordinating relief efforts across the sector. The ship, once poised for battle, now served as a beacon of hope and aid. I never thought I'd see the day, Crix rumbled, watching as shuttles laden with supplies and volunteers departed for the planet's surface. Vargans and humans, working together like this. Donovan nodded, a hint of wonder in her voice. It's more than that, old friend. Look there. She pointed to a view screen showing a Vargan engineer teaching a group of various species, including humans, about advanced shield harmonics. We're not just cooperating. We're growing together. On Celestia, the former capital of the Galactic Council had become the hub of a new form of governance. The vast chambers once reserved for a select elite now buzzed with representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Captain Eli Stone and High Counselor Zura stood before the assembled delegates, their faces showing both wariness and hope. The old council is no more, Zara announced, her voice carrying across the chamber. In its place, we propose a new form of galactic cooperation, the United Sentient Alliance. Stone stepped forward. This isn't about humans leading or the former council races retaining power. It's about all of us, every sentient species, having a voice in shaping our shared future. The chamber erupted in discussion, but it was noticeably different from the political maneuvering of the past. There was an openness, a willingness to listen and understand that had been missing before. As the framework for the new alliance took shape, challenges remained. Not every world had embraced the changes brought by Lighthouse. Some isolated planets, fearful of the sudden shift in galactic dynamics, had cut off communication entirely. Dr. Aria Chen, the brilliant mind behind much of the phase shift technology, addressed this issue in a subcommittee meeting. We must respect their choice, she insisted. Forcing our new reality upon them would make us no better than the oppressors we sought to replace. Instead, we'll leave the door open, ready to welcome them when they're ready. Months passed, and the galaxy began to settle into its new rhythm. The United Sentient Alliance, ratified by an overwhelming majority of worlds, set about tackling the monumental tasks ahead, redistributing resources to underdeveloped planets, establishing new ethical guidelines for technology sharing, and creating educational programs to bridge cultural gaps. On Nova Terra, now the central hub of galactic scientific cooperation, a historic event was taking place. In a vast auditorium filled with beings from across the cosmos, Dr. Lenny stood beside Captain Stone, preparing to unveil the fruits of their combined research. Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed beings of all designations, Lenny began, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. What we're about to show you is the culmination of human ingenuity and the collective wisdom of 1,000 worlds. With a gesture, she activated a holographic display that filled the auditorium. A gasp of awe rippled through the crowd as they beheld a three-dimensional map of not just their galaxy, but the entire local group of galaxies. Captain Stone stepped forward. For millennia, humanity dreamed of exploring the stars. When we achieved that dream, we found you, all of you. And together, we've grown beyond what any of us could have imagined alone. The display zoomed in, showing newly charted paths between the galaxies, stable wormholes created by combining human phase shift technology with the gravity manipulation techniques of a dozen other species. Today, Stone continued, his weathered face beaming with pride. We stand on the brink of a new age of exploration. These intergalactic gateways will allow us to expand our understanding of the universe in ways we've only dreamed of. But more importantly, they'll allow us to search for other sentient life, to welcome them into our alliance of mutual respect and shared knowledge. The auditorium erupted in cheers and applause. Beings of all shapes and sizes embraced, their differences forgotten in the face of this monumental achievement. As the celebration continued, Dr. Lenny found herself standing next to General Crix, both of them watching the joyous crowd. "You know," Crix said, his gruff voice softer than usual, "when I first heard that ancient human warship had awakened, I thought it was the end of everything we knew." Lenny nodded, understanding in her eyes. And instead, it was just the beginning. Far above Nova Terra, Unity's forge prepared for its maiden voyage as an exploration vessel. Commander Donovan stood on the bridge, surveying her crew, a vibrant mix of humans and aliens, all working in perfect harmony. As the ship's engines hummed to life, Donovan couldn't help but smile. The humans had emerged from hiding not to conquer, but to connect. They had faced fear, overcame prejudice, and in doing so, had helped forge a galaxy united in its diversity. The vast ship accelerated, its destination set for the very edge of the known universe. As stars streaked past the view screen, Donovan whispered words that echoed the sentiment of trillions across the cosmos. Together, into the unknown. And with that, a new chapter in the grand cosmic story began. One of unity, discovery, and limitless potential. The humans who had once hidden in the shadows now stood proudly alongside their galactic brethren, ready to face whatever wonders or challenges the universe had in store. The ancient warship that had once inspired fear now symbolized hope, a testament to the incredible journey from isolation to interconnectedness, from conflict to cooperation. As Unity's forge disappeared into the depths of space, it carried with it the dreams of countless beings, all part of a grand tapestry of life that stretched across the stars. The galaxy laughed no more at the humans or their ancient warship. Instead, they marveled at what could be achieved when fear gave way to understanding, when division yielded to unity. The future, vast and bright, beckoned to them all.